All right. Hi, Zoe. No things are unusual, but thank you for your work with the videos. So it's been a while since I've been in this format. I'll put some video links to help you kind of jump around, but I wanted to go through the 3 videos you sent me, which was Dragonetti first, second movements, and then the etude number 5 on page 23. So let's begin with the Dragonetti. Again, lots of good things going on with this. You're getting to that point with this concerto where I'm starting to hear some of the things that were small issues before becoming larger and larger ones from repetitions, which naturally we all do when we've had a piece for too long. I think you need to drop this for a week and come back to it. But a couple ideas I had from what you were playing. The very beginning, these first 3 notes, would you do me a favor this week? Would you practice it with the same exact fingerings, but rather than starting on G, play that arpeggio starting on an A or somethings. Try playing it on an A flat. And try playing it starting on an F sharp. Just making sure you're getting the character you want, the vibrato you want on some things that aren't kind of, you seem a little scared finding that first G. So just start this thing, get the gesture you want in different pitches, and it'll kind of settle some of the issues that are happening on those first 3 notes. Okay, we need to check the rhythm, and I'm sorry, I'm playing off a different edition than you, so if you see bowings or fingerings that are wonky, you can use mine, you can keep yours, whatever. But I'm starting at our second entrance here. Rhythm, 2 and go. And 2 and 3. 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 1 off. 2 and 3. Go. So just making sure the rhythm is exactly the way you want in those measures. You sound like you're getting scared of intervals. You know, it's got that forte marking that we've talked about there. It should really have a bravura and an excitement to it. You won't find that character working on the intonation and worrying about it. You gotta just go for it, and you just gotta just train wreck, you know, a dozen times, half a dozen times, but going for the right character with the right intent, and then fix the technique around that musical idea. So a little more courage with that, and a little bit more rhythmic integrity in the stuff right before that. Most of the virtuosic stuff, again, is very, very good. Okay, next entrance, low A. It's these first 3 notes, the character of this A. You're playing it very legato at the moment. The problem is your stroke for the rest of it is that kind of energy, and so it should have that from the very beginning. You hear it, it's just kind of all has a little bit more energy and excitement to it. So watch the articulations in the very first measure. Okay, the last part of that passage, to trip. And I did the wrong fingering there, but a little bit more flow in your triplets and then a slight bit of marcato in your 8th notes to bring out this rhythmic difference. Triple lip trip. Let's go to the G string maybe for this D harmonic if you're not already, and then trill from there. So from the top of that, 1 on the F sharp, and then the last D before the trill with a thumb on the G string if you're not already doing that. I would make that trill like one of the first things you do every day. It sounds like you're just not quite comfortable yet being in that part of the instrument. The instrument's not ready to play up there. So if you made it one of the first things you did every day, I bet you'd start feeling a lot more comfortable with the tone and the feeling of the thing within a week. Okay, good. Next entrance at 65. And again, just the bravura and the confidence. It's not about the notes. So a couple things I did before I recorded this to make sure I got it. I did it on a single note to get the stroke with the bow I wanted. And then when I incorporate the high D, it's kind of already there. So a little bit of right hand alone practice to make sure you're getting what you want with both of those. Same thing with the C, same exact stroke. Okay, the bottom of this page is so good. So cool. Excellent intonation that's coming along very, very well. Okay, moving on. All right, we've got this entrance starting on C natural. This is measure 92 if you have measures. I like the retard that you're doing. Don't do it so soon. Do it on the last 3/8 notes. The F natural. And then the orchestra will come up back in. Okay, this thing, I know, it's just weird, awkward stuff. Here's the exercise you need to be doing with this. You need to be getting to these gestures backwards. So I'm in measure 95. Rather than going to the D harmonic next, I'd reverse the whole thing. So rather than playing D, I'd reverse it C sharp, D, C sharp. And the next gesture will be high D. I would reverse that too. Rather than playing D, C, B, I'd go B, C, D. And then rather than playing G, F sharp, G, I play F sharp, G, F sharp. So, this will sound something like. And I'd work on it that way a couple days, just to make sure the accuracy and the rest of the fingers are there. You've gotten such an intent on getting these, these beginning of each gesture in the right place, that the rest of the hand is kind of struggling to catch up. So let's get the rest of the hand where it needs to be by reversing everything, and then I think it'll solve a lot of it on its own. Okay, harmonics coming along very well as always. I had a fingering idea. I'm down at the 1-1. This next one, starting in the D major arpeggio, measure 109. Thumb, 1, 1. And then, crud. 1, 1. Okay, so, yeah. So, in measure 108, when we got up to the high G, B, D, we went thumb 1, 1. We changed that fingering, and what I'm proposing is in the next measure, when we have D, F sharp, A, do 1, 1 as well there, and it'll put you in position for the rest of the passage a little more naturally without quite so much back pain. All right, last thing in the first movement is the last 3 bars. You just don't, this needs to be heavy and orchestral and fun. You have, I hope in your edition you have half notes, 3 before the end, quarter notes, 2 before the end, and a whole note on the last. I basically just want you to play everything long and lush. So. And. So we're just gonna. And. Got it? So we're just gonna kind of honk, honk, honk. Harmonics. Finally refine there at the end. Just get into that gesture. It's a party here at the beginning. It's the resolution to some really exciting stuff. So do that with a stroke, and I think the ending will be really effective. You'll get there. Don't worry about it. It takes time and it takes patience. Everything's where it needs to be. You just need that courage and that larger musical thought, and you'll have it. Okay, second movement. I'm thinking about your tempo. I know we talked about a tempo at the lesson, but I like 64 at the moment. If we have something written differently, I'd give this one a shot. It's going to be a little bit slower than what you were doing. Big thing for this second movement, I'm going to play most of it and talk about it as we go through because I know you're learning it. Big thing with the second movement, you need long tone practice outside of this movement as well as within it. Right? We have so many moments in this of and long tones. There's so much of this sustained bow. We might end up breaking some things, but for now, I want you just in your practice, quarter note equals 60 on whatever scale you're doing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know, somewhere between 7s and 8s. For middle 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and middle of the bow 6, and 7, 8, and a little bit of that practice every day is going to solve a lot of bow issues with this very quickly. So I strongly encourage you to do that, as well as, I think I've had you do this before. I'm in the 5th measure, of this thing, the second movement of the Dragonetti. Just hold it for as long as you possibly can, and always get a beautiful ending to it. And then when you, that'll feel a lot more free. So some long tone practice within the excerpt, or within the concerto, as well as outside of it, will help this a lot. So I'll give you a whole homework thing at the end of this, but basically I want to hear a recording next week of some long tones in 3 octaves as well. Okay, so I know this was a read this week. I'm going to give you a couple ideas. I'd start this thing on the G string. Second finger for me, because I can vibrate very well with it. Second finger F sharp to first finger A. I shift back on the 8th notes. This is a slow lyric movement. It's not Rabath virtuosic stuff where we need to be on the A and the D string so much. Put it back on the G string, a nice slow, narrow vibrato, and let this thing start to sing. Okay. I'm hearing my bass playing. Oh, shoot. Sorry. This is your playing, because my computer just reset. Okay. Easy solution to this. Unless it doesn't work. Okay, there we go. All right. So, yep, fingering from the beginning, 2 on the F sharps, 1 on the G, to the A, keep it all on the D string. I'd go right up the G string. 3, 3 here. 3, 1. And again, always a beautiful ending rather than running out there. Same fingering the second time. I'm going to change the bowings coming up. Up, down, separate, slurred, separate. One more time. And now forte, just like the first movement. I go to a harmonic. You can go down the D string if you want to. This should be with a thumb F sharp. And I spend a little bit of time double stopping that, because you're going to have so much double stop practice to be doing, making sure that F sharp is in tune. So two C sharps to D naturals. In tune, please. Going across there. Okay, I'm going to play the last end of this passage one more time for fingerings for you. So D, C sharps, always 3 to 2. B natural to A, 3 to 1. C sharp to D, always 2 to 3. A with a 1. F sharp across with a 3. E, G, B. And these are the bowings I would use. No, they aren't, because I just got the bowing backwards. Okay. Up, down, up, hop. Okay, going on. I'm finding the next B in my next entrance before I play. 2 and now, here's the catch. That is a nasty interval to play. There's no great place to do it. We're going to have a breath. 2 and then we can get lyric after that. What that means, Zoe, is we need to be symmetrical with the first entrance. So the first thing we played, breath. So it matches here, breath. Separate these. Intonations are. This next entrance, start on an up bow on the B natural. And break the slur if you have one. And triple and trip. Spooky stuff, but let's talk about how those harmonics work. So most of the D arpeggio you should be familiar with from the first movement. D harmonic with a thumb, 2 on F sharp, A with a harmonic, 3rd finger. Then we're in the D, F sharp, A range, thumb 1, 2. G on the G string with a thumb. And the last A needs to be on the A string with the 2nd finger. It's nasty writing, I know, but it's in the middle of a retard and you can really take your time. It's a kind of cadential moment. The orchestra's not doing anything, so we can take the time. Triple and triple. 2. And now we'll be back in tempo for these double stops. Double stops. I think I've given you the fingerings already for this. If not, shoot me a quick text and I'll get them back to you. The double stops are a nasty thing that need a ton of practice. They're so different from everything else we do. Here's the ways you need to practice this to make this manageable. A single note at a time, the full passage with the correct fingering. So if I was to play the top line, I'd start with the F sharp thumb. Same thing for the lower voice as well. So I just played both of those flat. That's something I need to spend a lot of time working on. Okay, next thing to practicing these double stops, spend a lot of time with each voice by itself. Spend a lot of time with the finger just working that one string and also ghosting the other string, if you know what I mean. Not playing the note, not pushing it down, but in the right structure and the right frame for it. Keep this thing loose, keep the fingers rounded. The moment something breaks, you're going to have to push everything, and you won't survive practicing these for more than like 2 minutes that way. We never get stronger. It has to be nice rounded fingers or a bust. Just a reminder with thumb playing. Yeah, here we go. Okay, with the thumb, I'm playing where the cuticle ends. I'm not playing back here on the joint. There's too much flesh there, and it'll be too difficult to play with. I'm here by the cuticle of the thumb, if that makes sense. No? Yes. It's okay here, but we really want to be as close to the nail as possible. There's a lot of strength in that part, believe it or not, that we can build up. So nice and easy with these, and I make sure that I can play this stuff forwards and backwards. So etc. I cannot at the moment, but if I practice it, I could figure it out. So I'll just run this thing really badly once. If you have questions, though, shoot me a text and I'll send you another video with more description on this. Thumb 2. I can do this better. So that E, C sharp up to the E, G is something I obviously need to spend some time on. Moving on. There is no way to do that really smoothly and connected. There's just going to be a breath. Take your time, nice and easy with the left hand. Keep everything rounded correctly. And I made a mistake there. I lifted my entire hand. If something can stay in the string, if that thumb can stay in the string, I'm okay. I'm keeping the first finger in the string. If I lift everything, I'm toast. Toast. Whatever it is to the end. Okay. Harmonics at the end of this thing. Start on a first finger F sharp harmonic on the D string. G on the G string, A on the D string, low A on the A string with a thumb, D harmonic on the D string with a thumb, F sharp with a 1, A with 2, F sharp 1, B 1, A 2, G thumb, E is with 2 on the A string. This thing is so nasty, but it has to be there. So I'm at the beginning of this next measure. I'm going down the G string for this one. Okay, then A, F sharp is always 2 to 1 in this. And this is all repetitions of what you've already played. F sharp with a 1. Leave it there for this week with the second movement. So one more time. So fool around with thumb vibrato a little bit in harmonics, but we want to stay away from that. That's more than enough. If you want to make them super pure, that's fine as well. Okay, so shoot me a text message if you can't draw the fingerings from this recording, if you have questions about bowings, any of that stuff. But with the double stops, repetitions, back it up, all the way down on single fingers, making sure that the left hand technique is always rounded and soft and easy as much as possible. It'll be a building act, but don't get too muscular with it too quick. Okay. Yep, practice some long tones outside of this. We talked everything stylistically in the first movement that you need to be doing to get it to the next level. Stroke work. You played number 5, page 23. It was very good. What I want you to do for next time is the same thing with a couple other variations. I want you to play it quarter note equals 80, quarter note equals 100, and quarter note equals 116. And I want you to play at all those tempos on down bows and up bows, starting the whole thing on an up bow. And as you go through the up bow structure, make sure that I'm still hearing the first of each group of pitches just as clearly as you did it this week. If you need to spend some time, whenever I can't get left hand articulation in this thing, let's say from that E to that G, what I'll do is I'll add in the old finger shift or the new finger shift in the in-between. So rather than, I'll make it, or, and I'll work on it in tempo at those speeds. Etc. until it's clean without the extra part in there. So a couple of different tempos for you, down bows and up bows. I also want you to play for me, not number 6, where are you? I know you said you would be good with some extra work this week. Oh my goodness, where did you go? And I will link in the YouTube video so you know. Yes, page 31 I want you to have ready for next time. I'll play this thing pretty under tempo for you quickly just so you kind of get the idea of what we're doing. Page 31, A2 number 9, has a stop-start motion to it. We've talked about all this with the Meister singer, but just so you're clear. Reset. Set. It has that kind of structure to it. Okay, I'm going to play this thing nice and slow, so you can get an idea of what some fingerings might be if you're having trouble with stuff. So, here we go. Let's start this again. Second finger A there. Second finger A sharp. Second finger F sharp. E. Accent these notes. I know it's not in the part, but accent them. That's a nasty little moment right there. A with a second finger, D sharp with a first finger. So 1, 4, O, 4, 2, shift on 2. I shift A to B natural there. 1, 1, 4. Little Dragonetti here. 1, 2. That's a bad fingering. Let's do 1 on A, 2 on B. Across. 4 on B. It's an etude. We can play some open strings. Okay. actual tempo is when? Something like that? Okay, so that will be another part of your assignment for next week in terms